G'day everybody, Tim Dwyer back again with Word on the Street. Well, the word on the street today is, I think we're being run by a medical mafia. Now, let me explain that to you. In this country, for any medical procedure to proceed, there must be informed consent. There must be. It's a law. It's a fundamental. It's a human right. It's an inalienable right. And for those who choose to ignore that, I would now remind you of a thing called the Nuremberg trials. Just saying. So we've got a lot of people now in our elderly care homes. These are the people that spent their lives building this nation. These are the people who, by the strength in their back and the sweat on their brow, they built what we now call Australia. And they are being treated like lab rats, instead of being honoured and respected and treated with dignity. It appears that our medical fraternity, and particularly our government, have lost the concept of respect and dignity. They have no understanding of what that means by the way they're treating our elderly folk. And I've always said, do not listen too much to what a politician says, but watch what they actually do. Now, I would have thought our honoured profession of doctors would have more ethics than what they're actually showing at the moment. And I sincerely hope, if a doctor is watching this, that you watch it all the way through. I don't much care whether the politicians see it or not, because I know they have no conscience, because they have no soul. You must have a soul to have a conscience. And as far as I'm concerned, it is my opinion that every politician, bar a few in this country, sold their soul. Just saying. Now, I do want to share a PowerPoint with you right now. And so let me bring this up. It'll only take a second. I'll bring that up there, and I will actually find that one. There it is, and I will share that, and I will open this up just like that. So, Australia, the word on the street is we are being destroyed by the criminally insane. The criminally insane, and these are the globalists, the world bankers, or the world wankers, whatever you want to call them, but they're controlling all the money and pulling all the levers. And then you've got Bill Gates. We all know about Bill Gates. His father was a eugenicist and believes that if you're not productive in society, you have no place, so you must be taken out of society, in other words, destroyed. And now we have Jack Ma from the Alibaba website, the billionaire Chinaman, who, by the way, applied for a job at Kentucky Chicken as a young man, and there was 300 or 400 people applied for the jobs, and he was the only one who didn't get the job. So not even Kentucky Chicken would hire Jack Ma, but he was in the online boom early and got it right, and so he's made billions of dollars. And so it seems that when you become a billionaire, all of a sudden you seem to have some sort of medical degree by osmosis. Not sure how that works. Or you think you have the right to speak on behalf of every other person on the planet, and trust me, you do not. The politicians in this country, I believe, have been bought and paid for by pharmaceutical companies and are controlling us without our consent. Without our consent. Now, this is our medical mafia here in Australia, and all these people here are our health ministers and all this sort of stuff. Now, today, and this is what's prompted me to put this word on the street out. Today, I rang the South Australian Health Department, and I rang the Federal Health Department. And boy, weren't they unhelpful. Unbelievable. Now, the South Australian Health Department said, oh no, it's all the aged care home thing is all being run by the feds. So I rang the feds, and the feds couldn't help me either. And what I asked was, what sort of information is being given to the patients and the people in aged care, along with the consent form, because you've got to sign a consent to have this injection because it is experimental. But they're not telling them that. And all they're getting is the consent form. And if the elderly want to know any more, they're being encouraged to go online and find their way through the labyrinth called the internet to find the information. Now, I don't know about you, but I know a few people in aged care facilities, and they do not even have the capacity to do that, meaning they don't have a computer or a tablet or a smartphone. And so they do not get the information. And when I spoke to the federals, I was told that they're not going to spend a fortune printing out nice, pretty leaflets explaining what some of the side effects may be to this, if at the time of accepting the vaccine, they can ask their health professional. Well, I tell you what, I think I smell a rat. In fact, I think I smell a whole bunch of rats. Now, just so as you know, this is where I went to get a lot of my information today. The South Australian government health thing about COVID vaccine 19, there's the web link. So, as I said, today I rang 1-800, the federal one. I spoke to Jason. There's no leaflet or flyer given to patients describing the fact that this is an experimental injection. There are no side effects explained. The fact that death is a potential side effect is withheld. I've got a spreadsheet that I've got 14,700 plus injuries listed from the COVID-19 vaccine on it around the world, including nearly 3,000 deaths. Now, I would think it would be valuable for people wanting to make a decision regarding their health, whether they wanted to be in these numbers or outside those numbers. But this is being withheld. And the health departments and the nursing homes and the doctors are refusing to allow this information to be seen. They are refusing. Now, on the South Australian website, let me read this to you a little bit. Now, all the stuff in colour and in brackets and everything, that's mine, all right? The goal of vaccination is to stop you from getting sick. Now, we've got a 99.8 survival rate of COVID-19, if you want to call it that. Now, the COVID-19 vaccines train your immune system to recognize COVID-19, and they have been designed to help you fight off COVID-19 before it makes you sick, right? Every virus out there has the potential to make you sick. They're not saying before it kills you, right? And reduce the severity of your symptoms if you do get sick. So what they're saying is it's not really going to protect you. That's what that says. Most vaccines work this way. This is why it's important that everybody gets vaccinated. What? It's got COVID-19, the flu thing, it's got a 99.8% survival rate. Oh, Lord. During clinical trials of the COVID-19 vaccine, research focused on whether vaccines helped produce enough antibodies to stop us from getting sick. You know, a few days in bed with the flu. The ones that did this safely and effectively have been approved for use. Now, that's an absolute lie. They have not been approved for use. They've been approved for emergency use, in the use of an emergency. And this is why Morrison and every state premier has held every state and territory in a state of emergency so as that they can roll this out. There is no emergency left here in Australia. We never had one in the first place. But in a state of emergency, there is no FDA approval for any vaccine for this COVID crap except under emergency use. And that information is being withheld from everybody who's getting this vaccination. Now, Professor Stephen Evans said it's pretty clear evidence that you get at least, hang on, I'll shift this because I can't see it, that you get at least an 80% protection and probably better than 90% for Pfizer's vaccine against COVID-19 with symptoms after a single dose. He said you couldn't be absolutely sure what happens after 21 days. Listen to this, because it hadn't been fully tested. I'm saying to you that Professor Stephen Evans says that it hadn't been fully tested past 21 days. You are the experiment. You. All of this is being hidden from every Australian out there. And I know I'm fired up right now, but I just want you to pass this on, email this out, send this everywhere you can. I can't put it on Facebook. They've banned me because I keep telling the truth and bringing all this stuff up. So here we go. Let's have a look at this. Now, a single dose of AstraZeneca shot was 70% effective at protecting against COVID-19 with symptoms for at least 90 days, according to the late stage trial data published in the Lancet. That's a pretty good magazine, right? Lancet on February 19 this year. Now, let me explain this to you. 76% effectiveness against something that you've got a 99.8% survival rate. I don't know what your maths is like. I don't know whether you're terrible at maths or good, but I'm sure you can figure out which is the bigger number there. Now, based on his readings of the existing studies, Evans said that a single dose efficacy of AstraZeneca vaccine was probably at least 70% against COVID-19 with symptoms for the first 90 days. After this time period, it is unclear, he said. Now, AstraZeneca, I'm saying, is they have not tested it past 90 days. Again, you're the experiment. And let me explain something to you. Every other vaccine out there has to undergo extensive trials, huge trials over years and years. You're the trial, and we're being put through this crap by the medical mafia called health ministers. And don't worry about them. Don't worry about them one little bit. Don't worry about any of this, because I can tell you there is a remedy coming. Now, let's have a look at what a medical emergency actually is. Now, these morons have got us living in a medical emergency. Australia, the whole of this nation is living in a medical emergency. I want to see if it stacks up. A medical or behavioural condition, the onset of which is sudden and manifests itself by symptoms of sufficient severity, including severe pain, such that prudent layperson could reasonably expect the absence of immediate medical attention to result in placing the health of the afflicted person with such a condition in serious jeopardy. I've got to ask you a question right now, as you look around your workplace, your family, and everywhere else out there. Do you see anybody in serious medical jeopardy? Serious impairment to the person's bodily functions. Have a look around. Make sure you're looking in the right direction. Look all around you. Serious dysfunction of any bodily organ or part, or serious disfigurement. That is a medical emergency under the law. Medical emergency at law means a condition caused by an injury or a sickness that manifests itself by symptoms of sufficient severity that a prudent layperson, that's you, that's me, possessing an average knowledge of health and medicine would reasonably expect that failure to receive immediate medical attention would place the health of that person in serious jeopardy. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Morrison and every premier and every state health minister has got this country in an emergency, and I can tell you they have committed treason of the highest degree. Treason of the highest degree against every man, woman, and child, and now they are committing medical experiments on every one of us, or they're trying. Now, this is back to the South Australian Health Board again, right? Their site. Now that the vaccines are being rolled out worldwide, early research suggests they may, that's my writing, they've got they may, I've highlighted, coloured it and underlined it, also be able to reduce how infectious we are if we catch COVID-19. There's a lot of conjecture there, not much certainty at all, in which could help stop or reduce the spread of the virus. Well, the bloody virus has stopped spreading. It's already stopped. It's finished. When they talk about a case, what they're talking about is some tiny, minute speck on a PCR test that's been magnified that many times. You could find Typhoid Mary having a party in there, right? The case does not mean COVID-19. Understand that. It's very important that we continue practicing good hygiene and using the COVID safe check-in. There's no COVID safe. That's tracking free and healthy people, non-criminals, and in physical distancing and getting tested. This is propaganda. That has nothing to do with the vaccine at all. If they're saying you've got to do this, then the vaccine that they're putting out there does not do a damn thing. Stay home if you're unwell. Well, we've always done that. Hell, a sickie with the flu is always a good call, especially during the rollout of the vaccination program. What they're saying is you can get the vaccination, you're still going to catch the flu, stay home. I mean, this is just pure nuts. What's in the COVID vaccine? Vaccine's ingredients vary depending on the vaccine. Is for generally vaccines contain some of the following ingredients. So here we go again, generalizing. Nothing specific. Do not get specific with this because somebody will jump all over them. Well, that somebody is me, and I hope that somebody is you. It has a protein component of a virus. Oh, how nice. A piece of genetic code, DNA or mRNA. This bit here, mRNA, this is the most vile piece of kit you've ever seen. This is in actual fact an operating system that gets into your DNA. It can never be taken out. It's patented, and whoever owns the patent owns the whole DNA. This itself is just evil. I mean, beyond evil. It takes away your ability to remain known as a human. A very small dose of a weakened virus. So a protein component of a virus, a small dose of a weakened virus, so they put the same thing in twice, a substance to boost the immune response. That's an adjuvant, usually aluminium, not good for the brain or any other part of your body for that amount. A small amount of preservatives, that's usually like radiator coolant, glycol, whatever it is, and sterile salt water, saline for injections. Now that all sounds very benign. It's not. Does the vaccine contain any animal products? Remember, this is on the South Australian government website. The approved, now keep in mind, they are not approved. They're approved for emergency use. Nothing has been approved by the FDA or the TGA because it hasn't been tested. It's been approved for emergency use, but they forget to put that in there. So half a lie, half a truth is a full lie. Do you get that? Half a truth is a full lie. The approved COVID-19 vaccines do not contain any animal product or egg. That's on their site. So let's have a look at this. What's in the AstraZeneca jab? Recombinant replication deficient chimpanzee. Oh, hang on. Chimpanzee is not animal? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Does not contain any animal product. And then there it is, a different site, right? That's from the ABC's report, right, of what's in the vaccines. The bloody government's lying face out. They couldn't lie straight in bed. You cannot trust these people. You got to understand something. You cannot trust these people. You know, there was an old saying here in Australia years ago, how do you know a politician's lying? Well, their lips are moving. And now it's even easier to tell because they stand in front of the TV camera telling you things and they've got heads behind them nodding like this to reassure you that they're right. No, they've just been paid for it. They're nodding. Oh, yes, I'm getting paid well for doing this. You can't trust these people. Look, I wouldn't trust them with a bloody leftover bag of dog poop. Anyway, what is informed consent? Well, any type of medical procedure or medical care that comes with significant risk, the informed consent must be given is more complex. There is a process that physicians are supposed to go through to make sure that the patient can actually give reliable informed consent, providing adequate information about the benefits and risks, giving the benefits and risks of alternative treatments or care, and allowing the patient to ask questions and get answers, and giving the patient time to discuss the decision with family. Let me tell you something right now. I don't know what's going on in every other state, but here in South Australia, the people in the elderly care homes have been given a consent form, nothing else. No other information about the content of the injection, nothing about the side effects, potential harm, and that death is actually listed as a potential side effect. All that is withheld on purpose. They are not being told it is an experiment. That is being withheld on purpose. And the word on the street is that you are not immune from prosecution, doctor, politician, healthcare worker, CEO of the healthcares. You are not immune. You might think you're protected, but trust me, you are not. And you never will be. Failure to get informed consent and negligence. When a procedure or treatment carries significant risk, physicians and other medical professionals must get informed consent before proceeding. If it is not given and the patient is harmed by care, right, he or she may sue claiming negligence or malpractice. And so it is my suggestion, just a suggestion. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice. I can only read documents that I find credible in credible sites like The Lancet and places like that, PubMed. Let me put it to you this way. If you've got family in aged care, anywhere in Australia, anywhere in the world, you need to ask the practicing doctor who's going to administer the vaccine for their insurance indemnity number. And let them know that if anything goes wrong with your family member, your loved one, your pioneer of this nation, you will sue them to the point where their wife will no longer enjoy their position in society. The car dealer that they will get used to is Rent-A-Bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, informed consent is not being given. It can't be given because the federal government has refused to produce the documents to go with the consent forms. So if I catch COVID-19, now we're back here on the South Australian website, if I catch 19 after I've had the vaccine, can I pass the infection on to others? Early research indicates that that the vaccines may be able to reduce how infectious we are if we do catch COVID-19. So what they're saying is, it's not going to stop you from catching the flu or COVID-19 or whatever they want to call it. It's not. It just isn't. It's an experiment. They don't know. You are the experiment. How long does the vaccine protect me from getting COVID-19? Well, clinical trials have shown that the COVID-19 vaccines may protect against COVID-19 symptoms, may protect, right? Right? Or protect. It doesn't say may. Sorry, that's my mistake. COVID-19 symptoms and severe disease after a person receives 2 doses. At this stage, there is not enough information to understand the long-term protection against COVID-19 after vaccinations. Do you hear what they're saying? At this stage, there is not enough information to understand the long-term protection against COVID-19 after vaccination. They don't know. They haven't got a clue. It's a stab in the dark. It's a stab in your arm and a stab in the dark. And you've got to come back. The problem we've got in this country emanates out of Canberra. Our Governor General, Hurley, he's at fault. Morrison, he's at fault. Every state premier is at fault. Every state health minister is at fault. And every doctor who administers one of these experimental shots without first notifying their patient of the potential harm that may come to them is at fault and liable. All of them can be sued in their own personal commercial liability. And if they think that won't work and they're protected by Parliament, you haven't sat in a Parliament for that long, you wouldn't know what it looked like. You sit in a corporate office, and as sitting in corporate offices, you're suable. And if you think that the judges and the magistrates won't find in our favour, we will hit them with a bill of mandamus, a writ of mandamus. There is a trial coming, and it's going to be awesome. I will protect our old people with every breath I got. They built this nation. They protected us from all manner of evil, from communism when it came at us with guns and bombs. They protected us against the Japanese when they came after us coming down through New Guinea. They built everything we've got in this nation that's worth having. And they need protection now. It's our job to protect them. The government, you people that call yourself government, you are scorpions. Let me tell you the story about a scorpion. A scorpion was trying to get across the river. And there was a frog, and he said to the frog, will you give me a ride across the river? I can't swim. And the frog said, no. He said, you're a scorpion. You'll kill me. He said, no, 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 truly. I promise I won't. If I can just get on your back, you swim across the river, I promise I won't kill you. And the frog hummed and hawed, and after a while, the smooth-talking, well-dressed scorpion got his way. And the frog said, righto, get on my back. I trust you. And the frog swam across the river, and just as he was coming up on the dry land, whack, the scorpion drove down with his stinger and drove it into the frog, and the frog screamed. He said, but you promised me you wouldn't do this. You promised you'd protect me. Why did you do that? Well, he said, I'm a scorpion. That's what I do. You people in Canberra, you're scorpions. Now that we understand that you will sell these people out for the highest bidder and take your 30 pieces of silver, we know who you are and we know what you are. So, my name is Tim Dwyer from South Australia. People, please stand up for our elderly, stand up for the right to be fully informed, to have informed consent, because the Nuremberg Code still exists. And understand this, that everybody is equal under the law. Everybody. Do not let your old people suffer this way. Do not let them be betrayed and please don't you betray them. Stand in their place, stand in the breach. They stood in the breach decades ago, perhaps before you were even born. Now it's your turn to protect them from the evil that is now beset us. That's the word on the street from South Australia. My name's Tim Dwyer, and thank you very much for watching.